Hello, and welcome to this episode of In Discussion With from Pharmacy Update Online. Today I'm talking to Dr Hayley Gorton about the role of the community pharmacy team in suicide prevention. Could you start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name's Dr Hayley Gorton. I'm a senior lecturer in pharmacy practice at the University of Huddersfield.
And can you give us a brief overview of your role, what your current job involves?
As a senior lecturer, my job involves both teaching and research. My teaching commitments are the final year pharmacy practice at the University of Huddersfield, and my research is all focused on mental health. It started from a pharmacoepidemiology point of view, looking at big data and trends, particularly about suicide and self-harm. And that led me to the work that I'm going to probably be talking about today, about the role of the pharmacy team in suicide prevention.
You gave a presentation at the recent FIP Congress entitled Suicide Prevention: Are Pharmacy Teams an Overlooked and Indispensable Asset? Before we get into talking about this, could you just put suicide into perspective for us? How many suicides are there? And are there any specific demographic groups that we should be concerned about?
So worldwide, there's over 700,000 deaths by suicide every year, and that's likely to be an underestimate due to some difficulties with data collection. And the World Health Organization plan and hope to reduce this by a third by 2030. In the latest data we've got in England and Wales, there were 5,224 suicides in the last count of registration, which was in 2020. And this was actually lower than the 2019 data, which might be a surprise to some people, and is actually hopeful in a sense, because people have obviously been concerned about the impact of the pandemic on suicides, but we can't be complacent, because actually, as we know, the pandemic continues. The potential mental health effects of the pandemic may continue alongside the pandemic effects and other effects on the economy, which has been known to influence and impact suicide rates in the past.
And now for the really important question. Are community pharmacy teams important in suicide prevention?
Yes, so obviously I'm going to say that pharmacy teams are important in suicide prevention. I'm not suggesting us alone. We're part of a multidisciplinary and multifaceted approach to suicide prevention. Almost all of the work that's been done so far about pharmacy teams in suicide prevention is related to community pharmacy. And there are, I believe, roles for all sectors of pharmacy. But what's particularly important about primary care is that actually 2/3 to 3/4 of people who die by suicide are not under specialist mental health services. So that means they're with us in primary care and we have opportunities to intervene.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of interventions are needed or are made in practice?
So what we know so far from the research that we've conducted in England about the role of pharmacy teams in suicide prevention is kind of two-pronged. Firstly, this sort of social, clinical, holistic role, i.e. kind of knowing people and talking to people. And that came through very strongly in our first study, which was an interview of pharmacy staff in England. This has been backed up by some more work that we've done, a survey of pharmacists and their teams working in any sector in the UK, although most were working in community pharmacy. Again, they talked about knowing people, about having conversations with people about suicide. And in fact, 71% of them had reported knowingly having spoken to someone about suicide at least once. And actually, some work worldwide suggests this is probably higher because people are perhaps indicating signs of suicide that perhaps have not been recognised. So yeah, we talked about that. They talked about need for referral and triage and having conversations with people. But what came through in the survey was also the perhaps obvious role of means restriction and the fact that people may use medicines that are obtained from the pharmacy in poisoning. And poisoning is the second most common method of suicide in the UK.
And something you mentioned in your presentation was the Zero Suicide Alliance training. What is this?
So alongside while we've been doing this work, the Zero Suicide Alliance training was included in the Pharmacy Quality Scheme in England, which is an incentivisation scheme where pharmacies are remunerated for meeting certain quality standards. So all patient-facing pharmacy staff, and we know that 72,000 of these in England have done this training. So it's incredible, and a big well done to everyone that's done that training. It's a 20-minute interactive video, and the key message really is about asking directly about suicide and also thinking about aiding triage and referral. So that's a freely available training that anyone can access. And like I said, most of our colleagues in community have done that now.